Welcome back to the show. Catch us online 24/7 at ctnow.com/Stan. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. All right, Jim Calhoun. We'll talk about the heir apparents if indeed we have to get to that point. But isn't recruiting already compromised now? You get a year, we win the championship, guys want to come play. But every subsequent year, the recruit's got to say, well, gee, is this Calhoun's last year? Is that his last year? If you're a recruit, you're thinking, will he be there for 3 or 4 years? Is he already compromised being in the seat where he is now at 68 years old?
I don't think at this point that recruits, when they sit down and get to the point where they're actually talking to Jim Calhoun, don't forget the head coach comes into the process rather late in the process. And I don't think they're really at this point they're thinking about the national championship. They're thinking about what he's accomplished. I don't think there's a lot of thought going on as to, particularly in the fact that a lot of the, primarily the blue chip basketball players aren't really looking at a long haul themselves.
Good point.
But
if you're a player, you want to go. At least for me, if you're a player, you want to go play for the coach. And they
you want to play for the coach that recruited,
right? Absolutely, because the chemistry is there, the bonding.
I don't think there's enough of a vibe that Calhoun might be leaving right now for players to really be thinking seriously about that.
Coming off the national championship, like I said, I don't think he's going.
Right.
And I think, like Scott said, the blue chippers, they're looking at 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And at that point, I don't think that it would cost them. I think there was some questions last summer. I mean, the one thing I think people, in my mind, mistake that Jim has this. I showed you guys off the NCAA violations of 8 miles. I think it was the part that hurt him was a lot of people wrote off his program. That, okay, I got stung here, I'll accept it or partially accept it, whatever. He's taken, the buck finally stopped with him, but
right.
And that's good. But I think and rightfully so, I think people were ready to trash the whole program. Mm-hmm. And he not only showed them, I think that's part of the thing, I think he wants to keep on showing it. I'm starting to buy into that. I've always long respected what he's done for New England basketball,
right.
But I think the continuum of the University of Connecticut program is more important to him than maybe I thought.
Yeah, but the only thing that gets better than this season is to repeat, because everything else pales in comparison. No matter what he does after this, if he does not repeat, he leaves at a stature of the season less than what he has now.
I'll tell you what, I think he built a legacy. I think he built a whole legacy on this NCAA championship right here. A repeat would be fabulous, but I don't think he's going to live or die by a repeat when he comes back. And I say when he comes back because a couple of years ago you might have thought, and the questions were legitimate, will he be back? And all of a sudden, he comes back with maybe his best recruiting class ever. So you ask that question, are recruits thinking about him leaving?
See, I think the 3 is cement his legacy. He's up there at Mount Rushmore now. I think now it's like coming in, continuing to have winning teams. Maybe a little bit selfishly of building a 900 wins and all that. But I think the totality of his career now went up a level after Monday night.
In 2 minutes, though, at some point, though, he will have to leave, right? At some point, we think. So in 2 minutes, there's no succession plan apparently in place. There's some acolytes out there. Let's talk about some potential candidates, heir apparents.
Well, you know what?
Tommy Moore.
To me, the heir apparent situation is one of the things that convinces me he's not going to leave. Well, I'll tell you what. I think because he would like he would like either Tom Moore or I think another really good candidate is Kevin Ali.
Okay.
But both of those guys need a couple of years more to be able to work back into the mix when they get this whole Nate Miles thing behind them, and Ali just needs the experience.
All right, Jake, real quick, quick bites on Tommy Moore, strengths and weaknesses.
Tommy Moore is going to be, I think, is just a little too stained by the NCAA thing.
He didn't get clipped.
He didn't get clipped, but there's this a little bit too much. I think Jim would like to stay for a couple of years. I think Kevin Ollie is going to be the next coach right now.
You do? Why?
Because I think he's got the experience from the NBA, and I think he's a good young coach. I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he's ready. Yeah, right. I don't think he's ready yet. That's why. I mean, if it happened this year at a late date, I don't know right now because these guys come and go. My own alma mater Connor was thought they had painted from Purdue, got the guy hates him in Miami, and now they're all sick about it. I mean, it spins like this.
Well, 30 seconds on the big issue with Kevin Ollie. He's not a coach yet. But I talked to D. Rose said, you know what, think of this guy as a GM in the NBA. He thinks so highly that he thinks Kevin Ollie can be a GM in the NBA. So let's move on, though. Let's talk to Steve Pikel over at Stony Brook, real quick.
I think that's it. Good coach. I would put him second right now in that succession thing ahead of Tommy.
Okay. Here's my sleeper. Ready?
Okay.
Howie Dickerman, Central Connecticut. The age factor is off the books. You hired Pascal for the football coach at 61. No longer age. He's a 3-time coach of the year. He's been a coach at UConn. He's won on a big level at the Central. Why not the guy from CCSU, Dickerman?
I agree with you that Howie is a great coach, but I do think that age does become a factor.
Even with Pascal being 61 years old on the football team?
Age
is definitely a factor.
I will say that the one thing I want to point out was that I thought initially that Jim absolutely was going to help handpick the coach, and then through the NCAA's was absolutely not. Now, given the way this has emerged in recent months and through this, I think it's back in the picture that he will have a heavy say in this, and that's why I said I think Kevin Ollie in the year 2013 is going to be the next coach.
All right, we missed Carl Hobbs over George Washington. Had a good first couple of years and sort of leveled off. But Carl Hobbs, Dave Lato's been fired, so a couple of guys who are in the mix. But the bench is out there, but it's not really a compelling bench yet because of the experience factor.
I think it actually is a very compelling bench. I think if the fact that Kevin Ollie would be the front runner, I think that makes it very compelling. Here's a guy that's a very attractive coach. Young players are going to love him because he has the NBA connection they're looking for. He works well with
an Ollie guy.
I'm an Ollie guy. Don't forget, he's the guy that taught LeBron James.
All right, I'm going with Dickerman.
He's the guy that taught LeBron James how to play in the NBA, and that made an impression on a lot of young players.
All right, we got to go, folks. Our guest, John Altavilla, Scott Gray. I want to thank all our folks for coming on the show today, and don't forget you can send your show comments or requests and watch us again at ctnow.com. Friend us on Facebook. Become a fan of the Stan Simpson Show. We're on Twitter, too. Look out for our tweets. For the good folks here at Fox Connecticut, I'm Stan Simpson. We'll see you next week.